Hey guys, hey, I just wanted to do a vlog today to talk to you guys about stalls, because a lot of you have been either making videos or emailing me about why am I stalling. Well, I went and read Pounds and Inches once again. I've read it many times, and every time I do I learn something new, so I just wanted to print out a few of these pages and go over all of the reasons why one would stall. And as you know, I'm queen of stalls. My last couple rounds I've stalled as long as, I don't know, 12-14 days. It's very frustrating, and especially if you know you're doing everything right, you just kind of have to wait it out. So let's go over when you start HCG. Everyone knows that your first week is usually the best week as far as weight losses go. The second and third day of dieting, most people have no complaints as far as how they're feeling, especially if they loaded correctly. And when I say loading correctly, I tell people to try and stay away from high sugar, high carb foods. Because when you load up on those type of foods, you will go through more of a detox feeling in your first week, and no one likes to go through that. So I say just focus on the high fatty foods. I'm not saying absolutely no sugar or no starch, just focus more on really, really high fat foods rather than high sugar foods, and your first week will be much easier. Now, by the fourth or fifth day, men will typically start to or continue to lose the same amount of weight. Women, on the other hand, are more irregular, even when they're doing the diet 100% correctly. There may be, it says right here, I'm reading right from the Pounds and Inches, there may be no drop at all for 2 or 3 days, and then a sudden loss, which reestablishes the normal average. These fluctuations are entirely due to variations in the retention and elimination of water, which are more marked in women than in men. That is for sure. The weight registered by the scale is determined by two processes, not necessarily synchronized under the influence of HCG. Fat is being extracted from the cells, in which it is stored in the fatty tissue. When these cells are empty and therefore serve no purpose, the body breaks down the cellular structure and absorbs it. But breaking up of useless cells, connective tissue, blood vessels, etc., may lag behind the process of fat extraction. When this happens, the body appears to replace some of the extracted fat with water, which is retained for this purpose. As water is heavier than fat, the scales may show no loss of weight, although fat has actually been consumed to make up for the deficit in the 500-calorie diet. When then such tissue is finally broken down, the water is liberated, and there is a sudden flow of urine and a marked loss of weight. This simple interpretation of what is really an extremely complex mechanism is the one we give those patients who want to know why it is that on certain days they do not lose, even though they followed the protocol correctly. This is not usually talked about when people are talking about their stalls, because automatically when you go into stall you think, what did I do wrong? Well, obviously if you're perfectly on protocol, oh, here comes the wind. And it also has to do with your water retention as this is going on. There are also other interruptions of the weight loss that one should always consider. One, as we all know, are plateaus. A plateau can last anywhere from 4 to 6 days, and it frequently occurs during the second half of a full course. And everyone knows that when you're doing a long round, you always notice, I'm hardly losing at all during my last couple weeks, or I'm stalling, staying the same. Those that are losing more than average will have a plateau sooner or later. A plateau always corrects itself, and many patients who have become accustomed to a regular daily loss get worried and begin to try and figure out, what they're doing wrong. So it says to break up a stall, you do an apple day after your stall is after the 4th day. You can do an apple day. Another way, it says in pounds and inches, to break up the stall is taking a diuretic for 1 day. No one ever talks about that either. I've never heard of anyone doing that instead of an apple day. So maybe someone should try that and see how it works. To me, that would be much easier than doing an apple day. Another interruption of your weight loss could be reaching a former set point or former level. That happens to all of us quite a bit. And so that is another reason for a stall, and there's nothing you can do about that. The other type of interruption of weight loss is women's monthly cycle. And all women are different. Some tend to stall or even gain a few days before your period, during your period, or even the time of ovulation, which is me. So we all can't stop that from happening. So that's just another reason to think of what point of the month is it for me, and could that be the reason for us? That could be a reason for a stall. Obviously, the other type of interruption is, you messing up on the protocol, meaning I ate an extra breadstick, or I had too much of the protein, I had, it could be different reasons, but we all know what we put in our mouth. We got to think, and sometimes when you're cooking for your children and not knowing that you're sticking an extra taste in your mouth, all of that can add up. And it has really nothing to do with what you're eating extra of, because it does. Obviously, if you ate a Twinkie and gained 2 pounds the next day, you would realize that's the reason. But even you think about, if I just eat 1 almond, that's not going to make me gain weight. It's this big. That has nothing to do with it. It has to do with under the influence of, when you take HCG, the blood is saturated with food, and the blood volume has adapted itself so that it can only accommodate 500 calories from that specific food list that we need to follow. So once you add an additional type of anything extra, the blood is forced to increase its volume to hold the extra food, which it can only do in a very diluted form. Thus, it is not the weight of what is eaten that plays the determining role, but rather the amount of water which the body must retain to accommodate this food. People talk about salt intake. The protocol does not say to only eat a certain amount of salt. In order to hold 1 teaspoonful of salt, the body requires 1 liter of water, as it cannot accommodate salt in any higher concentration. Thus, if a person eats 1 teaspoonful of salt, his weight will go up by more than 2 pounds as soon as the salt is absorbed from his intestine. So I guess the most important thing is if you're ever having extra salt, to make sure that you're getting your water in, and don't freak out if you have a gain or stall the next day because of the salt. It will eventually flow through. Just make sure you drink, continue to drink all of your water, and it'll eventually just flush its way out. When you have a gain, it's not necessarily fat, it's mostly water retention. So I think we all need to kind of chillax about the reasoning for our gains or our stalls. So speaking of water, the protocol does say to drink at least 2 liters of water. A lot of people drink more. But you don't ever want to not drink your water, because that will make your body retain water, therefore the scale will go up. I had an idea too. I am the type of person that if I'm on phase 2, I have a little issue with constipation. Well, I shouldn't say little. I do have an issue with constipation. A lot of people do, some people don't. But I'd like to take this time to make up, we have our apple day, we have steak days. I'd like to make a smooth move tea day, okay? Because it talks about in pounds and inches about the constipation issue. It says excess water keeps the feces soft, and that's important during the protocol so you can go to the bathroom. But when we do have an issue with constipation, it says it's normal to have a BM only once every 3 to 4 days, and that is when plenty of fluids are taken. Uh-oh, something's going on. Got fire truck, ambulance, fire truck. So I say if it's been 4 days and you haven't had a BM, I say let's do a smooth move day. And so that would be kind of the same thing as a apple day. On the 4th day, if you haven't gone poo-poo, drink some smooth move tea at night before you go to bed. To make sure that it works, I always double bag the tea bags and make sure you steep it for 15 minutes, and the next morning you should be released of that problem. There's other ways besides smooth move to take care of that problem, but that's what I used. But use whatever works for you. But smooth move day when you need it. Also, make sure you're not gaining weight due to oily body lotions. The protocol does say to not use them. These days, thankfully, we do have a lot of oil-free products that we can use, lotions, makeup, etc. And it talks about your hair. If you use conditioner that maybe has a lot of fatty ingredients, you can still use it, just don't rub it all over your scalp. So that should help you out there. I never changed out any of my shampoos or conditioners and did fine. So yeah, I just wanted to point out that extra thing that no one really talks about as far as how your body is getting rid of the fat, which is it's stored in the fatty tissue, and the cells are empty. It's quite a process, and let's just be more patient with what the HCG is doing to eliminate our fat, and not stress so hard over these gains of 0.2, 0.4, etc. Just follow the protocol, it'll eventually come off, okay? I wanted to share to you my birthday present that I got. My birthday was a couple weeks ago, and I waited till my birthday to get my license renewed because it did expire on my birthday. But I wanted to show you the difference. I kind of have to cover up my address and stuff. The best birthday present was not having to lie about my weight on my driver's license. I don't know when it was issued, 2006 maybe, but let's see if I can show this without. So obviously there's the old and the new. Pretty cool, huh? Quite the difference. I was so sick of using my old license. Having to pull it out at the airport or wherever to check my ID, and they always kind of looked at me. Like, is this really her? Yeah, I guess it is. Whoa, quite a difference. 75 pounds makes. Woohoo! Anyways, I'll let you guys go. I'm getting blown away here, so talk to you guys later. Bye bye.